Hi, it's Barb from Sprouting Chefs. In this video, I'm going to be demonstrating how to start seeds inside. It's March 4th, so it's a great time to think about planning for the summer and your garden right now. Some gardeners have gone ahead and started seeds even a month ago. February, January, there's some certain varieties to start earlier for the summer. And that just means that some plants take longer to need warmer times inside first to start the germination process, get established, grow a bit, and then transplant it outside later when the weather can sustain them and keep these plants from dying off. So in particular, things like tomatoes, cucumbers, peppers, summer crops, they need to start indoors first for a few months and get really established, and then be ready to be moved outside when the nighttime temperatures reach about 10 degrees overnight. And a good sign from nature that that's happened, that you can move your tomato plant seedlings outside, is watching other plants growing outside near where you want to put them. So things like lilacs. When lilacs start to become in bloom, or daffodils or lilacs, when they're opening and their flowers are blooming, that's a sign that you can move your tomato plants out. It means it's warm enough. Hardening off, which basically means bringing transplants or plants that have been living inside for a while and bringing them outside, that's called hardening off. You don't want to just plant something that's been growing inside for a few months, that's been used to steady, regular temperatures, and move that plant outside. There's too many things that vary in the outdoors that don't indoors. Wind, extreme sun, the intensity of that light from the sun can sometimes burn leaves that have been growing inside. Obviously, heat and temperature change can be drastic outside over the course of a day, depending on where you're hardening off your plants. So start slowly with that process, and I might be able to do a video about that when I'm ready to harden off some of my plants. So in this basic series, we're just going to focus on two types of crops, two types of seeds really. These seeds can be started now, like I was saying. And you can either decide to keep this one crop inside by your windowsill if you don't have the space to grow a garden outside, or you can transplant this one crop into a bigger container if you have a patio garden outside. So either way, the one crop salad greens and lettuces do very well almost anywhere. They just don't do well in intense heat. So lettuces and leaves are a good thing to pick if you get that half sun, half shade in your space. The other crop that I'm going to start today are peas. I've got both sweet peas I'm going to start. So those are the flowering plants that you don't necessarily eat. I'm also going to start a parsley pea, which is really great. I did this a couple of years ago. And what's great is even though the peas might not be ready, the tendrils can be eaten and they're ready. They can be a bit chewy, but they're beautiful. So it's a beautiful plant to grow and it's edible. Those are the things that I kind of look for when I'm thinking about what I want to plant in my either the school gardens or gardening at home or in back porches, is functionality. If the plant gives me food and beauty, it's a winner. Okay, so that's about a 4-minute mark on this video. Things you're going to need to have. Let's just go over that before we actually get started. And that'll be really obvious, right? So obviously a packet of seeds. Now, this is going to be an interesting experiment. These seeds are old. These are from 2014. Seeds do have a shelf life, so to speak. They might grow, they might not. That's why I'm adding another little package. If they don't grow, I'll know in a couple of weeks. If they don't germinate, then I'm just going to go to the store and get a new pack. And we still have a good amount of time to get these started. Worst case, if I don't want to start them indoors next, in a few weeks I can just direct sow or place the seeds right into pots outside. So there's still time for sweet peas to be started indoors, and there's time if you want to wait to plant them right outside. The other thing obviously you're going to need is a container. So I've got, egg crates as an example of some containers that I'm going to use. I'm going to put one seed per little section here, and they'll be easy to transplant after. I don't really suggest these types of smaller containers if you're starting something that's going to need to be transplanted again. I would go for something like this size container for things like your tomatoes or your cucumbers, peppers, squash. You're only transplanting once with these. You can get the plant established, put the seed right in, get it established, pull it out once and put it right into the ground. If you start with something small like this, you're transplanting 2 or 3 times. And the more you handle a little young seedling, the harder it is to not break it, really. You want to handle it as little as possible. And these containers give you a good amount of space. You also need to look for making sure that there's drainage, so some holes. These obviously don't have any holes in them, but I'm not going to worry about it too much because the plant's not going to live in here that long. The other size container I have is like a square shape. So all of these just came from gardening last year, plants that I bought at the plant store that I just actually put right into my garden. And then the last thing I have, because I'll be putting these on the windowsill, is this type of tray. This type of tray will fit really nicely into a windowsill spot, and obviously it collects the water. The thing that I've done before I started too was I've disinfected this tray and all the plant containers, the seed containers, with just a simple solution of 10% bleach and some hot water. Okay, so I'm going to move on to the next phase. I'm going to turn the camera down so you can watch me, and tune in just a few seconds for the next part.